Ciao. My name is Stefano from Milan, Italy. I did something that conflicts my soul every day. Stay tuned, and let me spill the beans. This is my brother, Lorenzo. Unfortunately, he isn't with us as I speak. He passed away just about a year and a half ago. Lorenzo got married to this beautiful lady, Bianca, about 5 years ago. They had 2 kids, Francesco and Isabella, before Lorenzo tragically passed away in a fatal car accident. Throughout their marriage, I was living in Barcelona, Spain, and only came back last year at the time that I lost my brother. I never imagined that my life would take such a tumultuous turn after my brother Lorenzo passed away. One moment, I was living in Spain, blissfully unaware of the storm that was brewing back home. The next, I was back in Milan, engulfed in grief and trying to support my sister-in-law, Bianca, and her 2 young kids. It all started innocently enough. I would bring groceries, spend time with the kids, and try to lift Bianca's spirits. But as the weeks passed, the reality of my situation hit me harder. I was falling for Bianca. I tried to fight the feelings by cutting down on the time I spent with her, but she would call me whenever the kids asked for me, or if they needed something. Even though I stayed away, I couldn't get her off my head. This was just 4 months after my brother had passed away. One afternoon, she called me and asked if I was avoiding her and the kids, or if there was anything that she had done wrong. I felt guilty, but I couldn't open up to her, revealing that I had fallen in love with her already. After Bianca complained, I started visiting as often as I did, whilst trying to conceal my feelings for her. Every visit to their home felt like walking a tightrope, balancing my desire to help with the weight of my feelings for her. She was only 25, and her world had crumbled just as mine had. I thought being there for her was what Lorenzo would have wanted. I remember the day it happened clearly. We were at an amusement park, the kids squealing with joy on the rides, and I was just happy to see Bianca smile. But as I watched her, I felt a pang in my chest, a realization that shook me to my core. I wanted her, not just as my sister-in-law, but as my partner. We went back home, and just as I was about to leave, Isabella cried, calling for me to stay. I sat down and played with the kids as Bianca stirred the pasta. We had dinner in the living room, and we decided to turn on the television. We switched through channels until we finally stumbled across our favorite channel, exploring relationship dilemmas. We all squealed with joy, watching one video after another. They make the best content. You should subscribe like right now. Go ahead, I'll give you 3 seconds to do so. Alright, done, let's go on. Eventually, the kids went to bed, and I was left alone with Bianca in the living room. I knew this was it, my chance to confess my feelings for her. I opened my mouth to speak. Bianca, I need to tell you something, I said, my heart racing. I've developed feelings for you. Her reaction was everything I feared. She looked at me, eyes wide, her hands trembling.
What about Lorenzo? What about the kids?
She asked, her voice a whisper. I respect whatever you decide, I replied, though deep down, I was terrified of losing her. She hesitated, then finally spoke up.
I feel the same way.
I smiled and laid her head on my chest. From that moment on, our secret affair began, cloaked in the shadows of our grief. But it didn't take long for the weight of secrecy to crush me. I loved her, but I also feared the consequences of our actions. Days turned into weeks, and each stolen moment together felt like a sweet reprieve from reality. But as we spent more time together, the guilt gnawed at me, especially as I watched her wrestle with the conflicting emotions of mourning and love. When Bianca called me a few days later, her voice was shaky. She wanted to talk, stating that she was feeling overwhelmed. Of course, I replied, my heart racing again. We met at a cafe, but this time, the air was thick with unspoken tension. I could see the worry etched on her face.
Stefano, I think we need to take a step back,
she said, her voice trembling. What do you mean? I felt a sense of panic rising within me.
I love you, but I can't hurt the kids or disrespect Lorenzo's memory. I need to figure out my life before I dive into something new,
she explained, tears glistening in her eyes. The words felt like a dagger to my heart. So we just stopped. After everything, I was desperate. She looked down, clearly torn.
I think we need to for now. I can't keep hiding.
Days turned into a haze of confusion and longing. I missed her terribly, but I also respected her decision. Just when I thought I could handle the distance, everything spiraled further out of control. She called me and asked me to meet her at her place. When I arrived, the kids had gone to school, so we were alone. When we sat across each other in the living room, I could feel the tension crackling between us.
Stefano, I've been thinking.
She began, but I cut her off. I don't want to hide anymore. I love you, and I want to be with you openly, I blurted out. Her eyes widened, and for a moment, hope flickered in my chest. But then her face fell.
What about the kids? What about Lorenzo? I don't want to rush this.
I felt the walls closing in again. What do we do now? I asked, my voice laced with desperation.
I don't know,
she whispered, tears spilling down her cheeks. I decided to make a move on her, sitting next to her and pulling her into my arms. I looked into her lips and went in for a kiss. She looked at me, her face filled with guilt as she reached closer. Just then, the door swung wide open and my heart dropped. Giovanna, my older sister, stepped in with a determined look. I instantly felt a wave of dread.
Bianca, can we talk?
Giovanna's tone was sharp, and I could sense trouble brewing. As they stepped outside, I couldn't shake the feeling of impending doom. A few moments later, Bianca returned, her face pale. What did she want? I asked, my pulse racing.
She knows about us.
Bianca said, her voice shaking.
She wants us to stop this before it gets out of hand.
Anger surged through me. Why does it matter what she thinks?
Because she's family.
Okay.
She's worried about the kids and how this looks to everyone.
Bianca replied, tears spilling down her cheeks. We sat in silence, the weight of our situation crashing down on us. I was terrified of losing her, but I also didn't want to hurt her further. I wanted to be with Bianca, but the pressure from Giovanna and the looming concern for the kids hung heavy in the air. Just about a week later, I received a phone call from Bianca while I was in the gym. I picked up the call and listened as Bianca's voice sounded vexed.
Stefano, you need to come over. It's about the kids.
My heart raced. What's wrong?
Isabella, she's running a fever. I'm really scared,
she said. I could hear her cry over the phone. Without thinking, I rushed to her house. When I arrived, I found Bianca pacing the living room, her face etched with worry. Isabella was asleep on her bed, her cheeks flushed. Have you called the doctor? I asked, trying to stay calm.
I did, but they said it might take a while for someone to get here,
Bianca replied, her voice shaky. I moved to the side of the bed, gently brushing Isabella's hair back. She'll be okay, I said, though I could feel the tension in my own chest. As we waited for the doctor, Bianca leaned against me, seeking comfort, and for that moment, everything else faded away. We focused on Isabella, and I felt the connection between us rekindle, our shared love for the children overshadowing our fears. When the doctor finally arrived, he assured us that Isabella just had an infection. Relief flooded through Bianca.
Thank you, Stefano. I don't know what I would have done without you here.
I'll always be here, I replied, as I felt butterflies in my stomach. Bianca blushed, and we went out to the living room for some wine. I took a few shots, and before I knew it, I found myself in her bedroom, on her bed. One thing led to another, and we found ourselves all over each other. It was the first time we made love, and it became a guilty pleasure for us both. As the days passed, Bianca wrestled with her feelings and the decision she needed to make. We would have to confront our fears, our families, and the ghosts of our pasts. But together, perhaps we could carve out a new beginning, not just for ourselves, but for the kids who had unknowingly brought us closer. It was time to face the music, and I was ready to take that leap, no matter the outcome. Finally, the day for a family gathering arrived. It was held at Giovanna's house, a sprawling villa filled with family members eager to show their support for Bianca and the kids. I could feel the excitement buzzing in the air, but for me, it was laced with anxiety. I couldn't shake the feeling that this was the moment we'd either have to come clean or risk being discovered. As I arrived, I caught a glimpse of Bianca playing with some kids in the backyard. Her laughter rang like music, but it only amplified my internal turmoil. I approached her, trying to project confidence despite my racing heart. "Hey," I said, leaning down to her level as she knelt beside the kids.
Hey,
She replied, a hint of nervousness in her smile.
are you ready for this?
Not really, I admitted. But we can't keep pretending forever. As the afternoon wore on, family members mingled, laughter echoing in the compound. I found myself caught in conversations, my mind elsewhere, my eyes often drifting back to Bianca. We exchanged glances filled with unspoken words, and I could feel the weight of our secret bearing down on us. At around 3 o'clock, the family gathered in the living room, and I knew the time had come. As people settled in, Giovanna stood up to make a toast.
Grazie a tutti per essere qui, to support Bianca and the kids. Lorenzo would have wanted Stati Uniti to come together as a family.
The room erupted in agreement, and as the clinking of glasses filled the air, I felt Bianca's hand brush against mine. It was electric, but I also sensed her hesitance.
Bianca, do you want to something?
Giovanna prompted, turning her gaze toward her. With a deep breath, Bianca stood up.
I just want to thank everyone for your support during this difficult time. It means a lot to me and the kids.
Her voice trembled slightly, and I could see the emotion flickering in her eyes. I knew she was struggling to hold back tears, and it tore my heart.
Now, I know this isn't easy, but I think it's time we talk about something important.
She continued, her gaze landing on me. The room grew silent, and I felt the tension mount.
Stefano and I, we've been close these past few months, closer than just friends. I love him. I want to be with him.
Gasps filled the room. The atmosphere shifted, and a wave of disbelief washed over the faces of our family members.
Bianca, cosa stai dicendo?
Giovanna's voice was sharp, her face a mix of confusion and anger.
This is so soon after Lorenzo.
I know it seems sudden, but I can't help how I feel.
Bianca replied, tears streaming down her cheeks.
We're not trying to disrespect Lorenzo's memory. We're just trying to find happiness within the pain.
Non puoi essere serio.
Giovanna shot back, her voice rising.
How could you do this to Lorenzo? To the kids?
The room erupted into chaos, family members exchanging heated whispers and looks of shock. I stood frozen, my heart racing. I wanted to comfort Bianca, to tell her it would be okay, but I felt the anger directed at us both. Listen, I finally spoke up, my voice firm. This isn't just about us. We care about the kids, and they need love. We're trying to navigate our lives after such a tragedy. This isn't easy for either of us.
Allora perché tenerlo segreto?
Someone shouted from the back.
Se doveva succedere, perché nasconderlo?
'Cause we were afraid.
Bianca exclaimed, her voice cracking.
Afraid of what you would think, afraid of hurting everyone. But we can't hide anymore.
As the arguments escalated, I felt my heart sink deeper. Family members began taking sides, with some supporting Bianca and others outraged at the revelation. It was a fracture in our family that I feared would never heal.
E no,
Giovanna shouted, regaining control.
ciò è inaccettabile. You both need to think about the kids. You're not just doing this for yourselves. Li stai mettendo nella posizione di scegliere da che parte stare.
Her words hung in the air, heavy with truth. I glanced at Francesco and Isabella, who were watching from a distance, confused, upset, and in tears. I knew they didn't deserve this chaos. Maybe you're right, I said, feeling defeated. But we can't just pretend this isn't happening. Giovanna crossed her arms, glaring at us.
I think you both need to leave. Non è questo il posto per questa conversazione. Devi capire cosa vuoi lontano dalla famiglia.
A chill ran through me at her words, but I understood the sentiment. The gathering had turned into a battleground, and it was clear that we were no longer welcome. As we walked out of the house, Bianca and I exchanged glances filled with a mixture of grief and resolve. What now? I asked, my heart heavy.
I don't know.
She whispered, her voice breaking.
I didn't want it to end like this.
Maybe we need a fresh start, I suggested hesitantly. Somewhere far from this chaos.
Barcelona?
She asked, her eyes widening. Yeah, we could go back. Start over, just you, me, and the kids. Give them a chance at a happy life without all this drama. After a long moment, she nodded slowly, tears streaming down her face.
Might be what we need.
Within a few days, we packed up our things and made arrangements to move to Spain. The decision felt surreal, leaving everything behind, including the weight of our family's judgment. It was a leap into the unknown, but also a chance for a new beginning. As we settled into a small apartment in the sun-soaked town, I felt a wave of relief wash over me. We were far from the chaos of Milan, and for the first time in months, I felt a glimmer of hope. Bianca and I worked together to create a nurturing environment for Francesco and Isabella. The kids adjusted surprisingly well, and slowly but surely, we began to forge a new family dynamic. We spent our days exploring the beach, playing in the sun, and just enjoying each other's company. And in those quiet moments, when the sun set over the Mediterranean, I held Bianca close, knowing that we were on a journey of healing, love, and redemption. It wasn't perfect, but it was ours. We may have left the chaos behind, but in Spain, we discovered the strength of our bond, the power of love, and the courage to embrace whatever came next.
Wow, that was, you know what? Give me some time to come up with a relevant word. Give me 3 seconds, hit the subscribe button while I look at my dictionary. Okay, I must say that was controversial. I would really like to know what you guys think in the comments. Was that messed up? Or was it just okay? If you enjoyed the story, then smash the like button. Check out another scandalous story about cheating by clicking this video on the screen right now. I need money for the holidays. I also haven't paid rent for 3 months, so please watch it. Anyway, thanks for watching.